UFC Vegas 118, Bonfim and Muhammad just wrapped up. I'm going to go over my matchups that I think should be made for the winners and some big losers for this card. Let's get right into it. Firstly, we have the winner of the main event, Gabriel Bonfim. Gabriel Bonfim getting the big win against Belal Muhammad, dominating him over 5 rounds. Very impressive performance. I obviously doubted Gabriel Bonfim. I did not think he would be able to go a long distance past 3 rounds, as I wasn't really sure in his gas tank. He showed a well-roundedness. He got a jab working. He had good leg kicks. He didn't respect Belal at all, which definitely helped him move forward and push Belal to the back, which helped him not have to deal with Belal's double legs and his blast doubles against the cage. Very good performance from Gabriel Bonfim. So now he's got a top 5 ranking, and he's definitely not in line for a title shot any soon. We have like 3 different guys above. We got 4 guys above him, and we got 3 dudes fighting for a title shot: Ian Gary, Prates, and Michael Morales. I think Ian Gary will probably get a title shot, and Michael Morales will fight Prates for a #1 contender fight. And JDM probably needs a layup. So I think Gabriel Bonfim should fight another top contender, and it should be Sean Brady. Sean Brady coming off a big win against Joaquin Buckley. He just got back to his winning ways after getting finished by Michael Morales, and he needs a big one here. He dominated Buckley, obviously, but Buckley has been shown that he cannot deal with any wrestling at all. He cannot deal with any takedowns, and he struggled to improve on that in the fight with Brady. And I think Sean Brady has struggled with heavy striking. He got TKO'd by Belal before he got finished by Michael Morales, and obviously Michael Morales dominated him in 3 minutes. So I think this is a great matchup. You got the really technical grappler in Sean Brady, and you got the good stand-up and decent grappling with Gabriel Bonfim, as also the size advantage. And this is the real question: if Sean Brady ever wants to have a chance at getting a title shot, he needs to be able to deal with the striking and also a large welterweight in Gabriel Bonfim, as the next champion could very well be a guy that's huge, 6'1", 6'2", with good striking and decent takedown defense. And Sean Brady needs this challenge. I don't think he should fight below. I think he should fight up in the rankings. And we got guys like Leon Edwards who are out for a while. Not really sure why. Usman not signing a contract. Not sure if he's fighting Dricus du Plessis at middleweight. So I think this is the fight to make, and it's a good way to get another contender in there. The winner of this fight can fight Prates versus Morales winner. So overall, I think this is a great matchup. Let's get on to the next one. The loser of the main event, Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad not been having a great time. He's now on a 3-fight losing streak, as as he follows the trend of UFC welterweight champions since Kamaru Usman, going on 2 to 3 fight losing streaks. Belal Muhammad now losing his third against Gabriel Bonfim. Not a great look. Not a great look. He got dominated. Could not find anything to give Bonfim here. He struggled with the range. He couldn't get his wrestling in. He couldn't shoot, and that's the problem with Belal. I've been saying this. He works strictly off the blast double, and if you can keep away from the cage, if you can push Belal back, he won't be able to get any offense going. That's kind of what we saw. He kept trying to go with a head kick after the 1-2, but he was getting caught by Gabriel Bonfim with the jab and the 2. So I think Belal Muhammad, his best days, if he ever had them, are just way behind him now. I think Belal is kind of on the way out, and we should really just give him not a test, we should give another budding contender a test and see if they can build their way up. He should just be a building block, and I think the best way for that is to get Yaroslav Amosov in there. Yaroslav Amosov coming off a second win in the UFC against Joel Alvarez with that big submission. He's now subbed Neil Magny and Yoel Alvarez back to back, and he looks very, very dangerous. I think he will pose very, very, very big problems for Bilal Muhammad. He's much bigger than Bilal Muhammad. He's stronger than Bilal Muhammad. I do not know how old he is, but he is, oh, he's 32. He is a very, very young fighter. He can definitely get in there, beat Bilal Muhammad, get into that top seven, top six area, and try to find a way to a title shot. Like I said, Bilal Muhammad's on the way out, so if he continues to fight, it should just be to build up new welterweights. He made his legacy as kind of a meh UFC champion and a meh UFC welterweight champion, but he did beat Leon Edwards. He beat a better Gilbert Burns than he went on a losing streak. But welterweight is entering a very, very big, as has entered a big transition period, so this is the way to go. Unfortunately for Bilal Muhammad, this is the end of the road. Next up, we have the winner of the co-main event, Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen obviously beating Edmen Shahbazyan in a 3-rounder. I will say, not very impressed by Brendan Allen. I thought he could have lost rounds 1 and 2. I'm not really sure how the judges scored it 30-20. Two of them scored it 30-27 and all three unanimously. But I'm probably in the minority on that. I obviously did pick Edmen just because I thought he could get him out early, but Edmen showed decent cardio for a very high-paced fight. He actually did outstrike Allen in rounds 1 and 2, and I think he still did more damage to Allen, but Allen did try to mix in a takedown at the end of the fight to basically secure a round. I think round 1 should have gone to Edmen. Round 3 was definitely Brendan Allen's, and round 2 was a toss-up for me. Still a good performance from Allen. He didn't even really use his wrestling and his grappling, which is his main strength. He wanted to show off the striking. Now he is calling for a title shot. He wants to fight DeSean Strickland, the man that finished him in 2 rounds. And that's not a fight he's getting. I mean, he's lost to Anthony Hernandez, who Strickland finished, and Anthony Hernandez, for some reason, under Brendan Allen. Imavov is above Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen somehow, because he beat Reiner de Ritter, got his rank inflated. So it's really a tough situation for Brendan Allen here. Now, I wasn't sure who he would match up with because he did beat Reiner de Ritter, but he lost to Anthony Hernandez. But Anthony Hernandez is below him, and he probably doesn't want that fight. And it's kind of old. I mean, I want to see a new matchup. And Caio Borralho recently pulled out of his fight with Joe Pyfer at UFC 330. So I think Joe Pyfer needs to get in there and defend his top ranking. Brendan Allen needs this win if he wants to secure a title shot for himself. Dricus du Plessis probably going to defend his number 2 ranking against Kamaru Usman at UFC Oklahoma City. You got Imavov probably getting the next title shot. So if Brendan Allen gets in there and beats Pyfer, and Dricus du Plessis still hasn't fought, you got a guy that's probably going to. You got a guy in Brendan Allen, Joe Pyfer, that's probably going to fight for the title, before Dricus du Plessis or Kamaru Usman. I think this is the next. This is the number 1 contender fight because I think Khamzat Chimaev will be out for a while. He took quite a bit of damage in the title fight, and I don't know where he's gonna go. If he wants to go up to light heavyweight, if he wants to fight a middleweight, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of news for Khamzat Chimaev. I don't even know who Khamzat Chimaev fights next, quite frankly, just because I don't know what division. So I think Brendan Allen, he should take his chance. Obviously, it'll be short notice, but he should still try. Go fight Joe Pyfer UFC 330. Take a chance. It's the only way he'll ever get a title shot if he can get this dub. And yeah, that's really how I see it. Joe Pyfer, big knockout ability, just finished Israel Adesanya in a really retarded Israel Adesanya fight. So this is the real test because, I mean, it's a more retarded fighter in Brendan Allen, but Brendan Allen has been improving his retardness just a tad bit. So, good matchup for the number 1 title contender. Next up, we have the winner of the lightweight ranked bout, Tom Nolan. Tom Nolan getting the big win, a very close fight with Fares Ziam, which Fares Ziam pretty much threw at the end of the third. He really doesn't have any fight IQ, and Tom Nolan isn't that great a fighter. He's just a tall, lanky, lightweight, and I don't see him getting anywhere in this division. He definitely has to, after that performance, quite frankly, I think he needs to defend that number 15 ranking, and I know exactly he should defend it against, and it should be against the guy that's 4-1 in his last 5 fights in KGD Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson getting the big win against Matoiz Rombetsky with the round 3 sub at the buzzer, or within the last 20-ish seconds. Grant Dawson having his only loss in his last 5 fights against Manuel Torres, fighting Rafael Fiziev in a main event in about a month or maybe a few weeks. Grant Dawson having big wins over guys like Carlos Diego Ferreira, now Matoiz Rombetsky. This guy really wants to get back in there. He's definitely deserves a ranking in my opinion, especially considering a guy like Fares Ziam who had a pretty artificial ranking. He didn't have a ranked win, and he just randomly got it for his win over Nazim Sadikov, which, while impressive, I'm not a big fan of the artificial rankings. Although, you know what? Going back, I'm pretty sure Grant Dawson originally had an artificial ranking after he beat Damir Ismagulov. He actually had an artificial ranking, which he then lost to Bobby King Green. Um, that's just a random thing I remember. But yeah, Grant Dawson beating Joe Selecki, Rafa Garcia, who's now on a big streak. I think a 3 or 4 fight win streak, having just beaten the Great Ape, or 3 fight win streak, just beating the Great Ape Alexander Hernandez. I think Grant Dawson will mix up the grappling and the wrestling much better than Nolan. Obviously, the striking is a big worry for Grant. His head movement's not really there, and his entries on the striking not very good as well. But I think this is a big test for Nolan. It'll really prove if he deserves that top 15 ranking. And for Dawson, it's his way back in. He needs that after the big loss to Manuel Torres, after we thought, he learned from his mistakes against King Green. So yeah, I think this is a great fight to make for a top 15 ranking. Let's get on to the next one. Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell, the Freedom Man himself. Obviously, Bryce Mitchell getting the big win against Santiago Luna. Santiago Luna obviously only having 2 fights, and I said in my predictions video, Santiago Luna just didn't have the experience. He doesn't have that great grappling. He was getting taken down by, I don't even remember what his name was, but Santiago Luna was getting taken down by Angel Pacheco. He got knocked down by Kwang Lie. And Bryce Mitchell really showed, the experience is key here. Had a good jab, decent 1-2, didn't back down from Santiago Luna, and Santiago Luna just kept backing up. He probably would have had more success if he committed to his 1-2 and just kept walking forward, but he didn't. Threw some meaty hooks, got taken down. Buzzer beater sub for Bryce Mitchell. Big win. I did not think Bryce Mitchell would have that finishing instinct. He hasn't had it for a while. But it was a very impressive performance for Bryce Mitchell. And I've seen people say Bryce Mitchell should fight some other unranked bantamweights. I don't think that's the case. Bryce Mitchell, obviously, he's still a relatively young guy. But I think Bryce Mitchell should get a chance at the rankings after all he's done. He's now beat Said Nurmagomedov, and he's beaten a big prospect in Santiago Luna for a 2-fight bantamweight streak. So I think he should get a ranked fight, and what better way to get him a ranked fight than the always random Raoni Barcelos. Raoni Barcelos having just beaten Montel Jackson by a very controversial split decision, getting knocked down, getting sent flying. I think this is a great matchup stylistically for Bryce Mitchell. It'll be an easy ranking for him. He'll just take him down and grapple fuck him, probably take his back and backhack him through 3 rounds. Raoni Barcelos is not a guy with big power, guy with decent wrestling and grappling, but I think to beat a guy with decent grappling and wrestling, you have to have better skills in that department, and he just doesn't in comparison to Bryce Mitchell. His striking might be a tiny bit on the same par, but Bryce Mitchell much bigger, probably still stronger. He showed big levels in the wrestling against Santiago Luna. He was clearly stronger than these bantamweights as coming down from featherweight. And I think this is a great way to get him into the bantamweight rankings. I think he can be a serious contender at bantamweight just with the pure wrestling and control he brings. So get this fight going. I hate Ione Barcelos, obviously, as you can't if you can't tell already. This guy is kind of a waste. He's like 37 years old, and he's always just in a random fight with a ranked guy. He'll fraud check a dude and then lose his next fight. He's now on a 4-fight win streak somehow, but there's a few split decisions I'm not a big fan of, and I think he probably loses in a rematch to Peyton Talbot. So yeah, let's just get him right out of the fucking rankings. Let's do it. Next up, we have Ewo, and I also already spoiled it, but I partially spoiled it, but I want Ewo Baroneski to fight the winner of Julius Walker and Yakyayev. Obviously, Abdulrahman Yakyayev getting the big win over Bredinson Ribeiro, now scheduled to fight Julius Walker. I think Iwo Baroneski gets a big highlight reel KO if Julius Walker wins his fight with Yakyayev. And I think if he doesn't, and Yakyayev is the winner, we get a really big fun fight with two big prospects. Obviously, Iwo has three big KO/TKO victories, just beating Tafa this weekend via leg kicks. I think Yakyayev obviously probably beats Julius Walker and creates a fun fight between these prospects. I think Iwo wins this fight and he gets a ranked fight, and Alonzo Menefield or somebody low in the light heavyweight rankings. He's a very fun fighter, very impressed with the guy, always going forward. He has decent grappling we haven't seen yet, but if you watch a few of his fights, he has a few arm bars. He's very exciting to watch, and I think we'll see a lot more from him in the future. Pretty short fight recap. I didn't really have much to say. I think it's just pretty clear that he should fight another unranked guy, and what better way than just against a fresh matchup. Now on to Edgar Chairez, or Chairez. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it, but Edgar Chairez getting the big submission win in round 1 against Bruno Silva. I was very impressed. I heavily underlooked Edgar Chairez here after his recent win over Felipe Bunez. I thought a guy that could, like Felipe Bunez, gets you to the ground, gets in the pocket with you, Bruno Silva could do better. Obviously, he did not. Bruno Silva was not able to deal with the range. Edgar Chairez came out swinging. He landed some big straights that dropped Bruno Silva, and he had that finishing instinct to get that sub win. Very impressive from Edgar Chairez. He now has a ranking next to his name, and there's actually a lot of flyweight matchups for him, and there's actually a lot of flyweights that are already booked as well. And I think Edgar Chairez, I think with a lot of the guys that are getting top 15 rankings, have to defend them first against another big prospect that's just under, especially when there's not much to see. Obviously, Bruno Silva, not a super great fighter. He's lost quite a few fights recently, and his career is practically over. I'm not even gonna put up a matchup for him. I think there's no way he gets another win in the flyweight ranks. At least he'll probably just get an unranked win and probably retire. He is 36 after all. He's lost to a few guys: Joshua Van, Manel Kopp, now Edgar Chairez, and Charles Johnson. So I think the main fight for Edgar Chairez is a big unranked prospect, and also a guy that had a ranking, obviously artificial, but he had a ranking, and it's the big Bopo, Joseph Morales. Joseph Morales, obviously on a big 2-fight win streak in his UFC return, having just beaten Mike Schnell and Alibi Idris in the UFC Ultimate Fighter finale. He's coming off his, this is obviously his second stint in the UFC, having gone 1-2 in the promotion originally. He lost to the future champ Davison Figueiredo at the time in 2018, and then he lost a split decision to Eric Shelton. So Joseph Morales, if you didn't watch The Ultimate Fighter, he looked really great. He had one close fight with now prospect Imanol Rodriguez. I believe Joseph Morales won that fight, and it's a win that's aged pretty well with Imanol now getting to the UFC. off of the Contender Series and now finishing Kevin Borjas in his last fight. I think Joseph Morales is a high-level flyweight that we should get into the rankings as soon as possible. And if he can beat Edgar Kayres, it's a big proof of that. I think Edgar Kayres now really believes in himself. He has come back in a big way since his big leg injury a few years ago. So let's get him defending this ranking. Obviously, he wants to get back in there. He lost to Joshua Van as his last loss, and he's now on a 3-fight win streak. So let's get him back in there. If he wants to work his way up to that rematch, let's get him against a guy like Joseph Morales to prove that he deserves a guy in the upper top 10. And I think Joseph Morales off this can get a top 10 fighter as well. This is a great matchup for the lower ranks and a great matchup for prospects. Next up, we have the Maniac, Marcus McGee. Obviously, I said MMM because I can't fit the whole thing here. Marcus McGee getting the big win this weekend against John Yanis. Obviously, John Yanis, not a great fighter by any means. He's an alright bantamweight prospect, not going to really take a ranking from anyone in the future. Marcus McGee, unfortunately, was on a big streak and then lost to Petr Yan, who then went on to become the champion again the same year. He had a fight against Jakub Wicklash scheduled, but Wicklash had to pull out this weekend, or from this weekend, so he got John Yanis coming up on short notice. Won all 3 rounds pretty unanimously. It was a very solid win. I like Marcus McGee. He has very, very fun fights. And I think Marcus McGee should get his ranking back. He definitely deserves it. He lost it for no reason, quite frankly, just off of inactivity, and a lot of artificial rankings have been coming in for the lower guys. I think he should get a big fight. And there's not a lot of guys in pretty much everybody bantamweight has just fought or has a matchup. So I'd like to put a guy that's been wanting a matchup, Peyton Talbot. Peyton Talbot having gotten a big win over my GOAT Henry Cejudo. He did lose to Raoni Barcelos, as I mentioned earlier, but he's gone on to win. He's gone on to make a 2-fight win streak against Felipe Lima, who was a decent prospect, and Henry Cejudo now. I'm not really sold on him still, just because obviously Henry Cejudo was coming off a big eye poke injury, lost to Song Yadong, and he was very old by that point. Obviously Song Yadong had that very illegal eye poke and somehow got the win off of that. Should have been disqualified. That's a separate point. Peyton Talbot not really proven himself yet. Not any great wins. Doesn't actually have a rank to win. He also got in a more of a artificial ranked from this, so he's I think number 11. And Marcus McGee needs his rank back. He was only like number 15 when he fought Petr Yan, and this is the fight you make really, because there's not a lot of bantamweight ranked guys that aren't scheduled. And Peyton Talbot wants a fight. He should get that fight. He needs to prove himself. And Marcus McGee, obviously 36 years old, needs to get up there if he wants to make a title run late in his career, or not late in his career, but late in his biological life. He hasn't fought in MMA that long, but he is old and he's getting up there anyways. So make this matchup, please, UFC. I need this. I need to see one of these guys prove themselves to be a top 10 UFC bantamweight fighter. Next up, Edmen Shahbazyan. Accidentally spoiled it again, but let's just get into it. Edmen Shahbazyan getting the big loss. I think he showed that he can swing with the big boys at the top 5 of the division, but he needs to prove himself. Obviously, having gotten this top 4 fight, being unranked, he needs to prove himself. I think he can get a ranking. This middleweight division is kind of weak right now. It's also in the transition period with all the former guys either going to light heavyweight or just losing at middleweight. He needs a ranking. Obviously, Ikram Aliskerov is here, but I haven't really put the name up because he has a fight scheduled against Bruno Fajeda. So the real question is, who does Edmen Shahbazyan fight? This is for a ranking because Ikram Aliskerov recently got a ranking off of beating, I think, Andre Muniz. Andre Muniz. So I think Ikram Alaskarov will lose to Bruno Ferreira, having also just come off the big loss to uh, RoboCop in the first round. They're now 1-1. Bruno Ferreira has something big to prove here, so let's get this fight going. Edmund Shabazian should get the winner of this match so he can try to get a ranking. I think he'll beat whoever wins this fight, unless he gets put out immediately. The next fight is done. I don't have a fight. And that's it. Those are my UFC matchups. Obviously, a bit of a shorter one. I didn't include every single fighter that won or every single big loser. Just want to make this concise. There wasn't a whole lot of interesting matchups for me this weekend. We're going into the White House. This is a bit of a late video, so I'm gonna try to have that video done by the end of tomorrow. Really appreciate all the support on the recent videos. This is video number 3. This is my matchups video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Brendan Allen deserves a title shot? And do you think Bonfim deserves a title shot? Or do they have to work their way up? Do they have to get 2 more wins in the top 10 before they get a title shot? Let me know. This is DeSean Strickland signing out. Like and sub to my channel. Go follow the Twitter. Always posting my GOAT picks of the week and my GOAT parlay of the week. We went 1-0 on the parlay, which was the Sauna Boys, Bryce Mitchell, and Marcus McGee, and we went 0-1 with Bruno Silva as the GOAT pick of the week. Hopefully with the UFC White House this Sunday, we can get it back. Hope you guys have great parlays. Hope you guys make all your bets go through. And yeah, DeSean Strickland signing off. Peace.